What is good, chat? We are live. Today we got some new politics to cover. We're going to be going over first the reporters grilling Trump on the Epstein files, and then we got a little something else from the White House. Let's get started.
Years, and has been a fantastic ally. And anything they needed, we helped them, and anything we needed, they helped us. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, including the most perfect military maneuver that anybody's seen probably in 50 years, which took place a few weeks ago, and Iran knocked out their entire potential nuclear capacity. And it was obliterated. You know, I used that term. They said, well, maybe that's too much. I said, no, it turned out it was more than obliterated. They can't go back. And we're just really going to talk about some things, including trade. We're going to be discussing trade. We do a lot of trading with Bahrain. And we're going to have lunch after this, but we'll take some questions. At first, I'd like to ask the Crown Prince to say a couple of words. And he also has a father who's living and well and doing fantastically, as I understand it.
He is.
And somebody he's respected all over the Middle East and all over the world. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, one and all. It is indeed a great honor to be here on this fine morning to put into action the relationship that exists between our two countries. We will be discussing security issues, we'll be discussing trade and investment, which is very important. We're very happy to be announcing $17 billion worth of deals that are coming to the United States. And this is real. This isn't...
It's real money.
These aren't fake deals. These are real deals.
They don't have to borrow the money.
We don't have to borrow it. It's coming in. And it only builds upon a legacy that we're very proud of. We have had a relationship in the civil side between our two countries since 1893 and formally since 1948. So may it long continue, and we look forward to many, many more years of productive partnership. Thank you, Mr. President.
We will have
You
that.
honor us.
We will have that indeed. We'll have many good years, and I'd say right now is your top year, and we appreciate the investment. It's a great. We left, as you know, Saudi Arabia. We were just there in Saudi Arabia, and Qatar was so great. Leaders great. We had UAE, and we had a couple of other visits, but all great places, and we left with $5.1 trillion of investment, and they all want to be investing in the United States.
Yes.
We have, I think we have over $16 trillion of investment coming in, which is a record, and we're only a little bit into the year. And let's say the first 2 months, I sort of took it easy because we had to fix up the Oval Office. I had to devote my time to fixing it up, but now we had to fix up our country. So we have. I think everyone is saying we have the hottest country now anywhere in the world. We were dead a year ago. We are a dead country. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And
Thank you, Mr. President.
any questions?
On Syria, any comments on the developments in Syria at the moment?
Well, I can comment. I think I'll ask Marco to say a few words on Syria.
Yeah, it's complicated, obviously. These are historic, long-time rivalries between different groups in the southwest of Syria, Bedouins, the Druze community, and it led to an unfortunate situation and a misunderstanding, it looks like, between the Israeli side and the Syrian side. So we've been engaged with them all morning long and all night long with both sides, and we think we're on our way towards a real de-escalation and then hopefully get back on track in helping Syria build a country and arriving at a situation there in the Middle East is far more stable. So in the next few hours, we hope to see some real progress to end what you've been seeing over the last couple hours.
Mr. President, Jerome Powell,
All right, this is what
do you
we're gonna
have
start
plans,
talking about.
or if you're back considering firing Jerome Powell, and what's your justification if you're thinking about this to do
He's
this?
too late. He's always been too late, hence his nickname, Too Late. He should have cut interest rates a long time ago. Europe has cut them 10 times in the short period of time, and we cut them none. The only time he cut them was just before the election to try and help Kamala or Biden, whoever the hell it was, because nobody really knew. Obviously, that didn't work, but he tried to cut them for the Democrats, Kamala, and How did that work out? You'll tell me. It didn't work out too well, did it? But I think he does a terrible job. He's costing us a lot of money, and we fight through it. It's almost, the country's become so successful that it doesn't have a big impact, but it does hurt people wanting to get a mortgage. People want to buy a house. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him. But they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned. He's doing a little renovation for $2.5 billion of the Fed, building a renovation, and they have a close to $900 million cost overrun, and it's a shame. But the biggest cost overrun is the cost overrun for interest rates, because we should be paying 3 points lower, and we would save $1 trillion a year in interest if that were the case. And all it is the stroke of a pen. And that goes for his board, too, because his board is not doing the job, because they should try and rein this guy in. So he's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so. And we'll pick somebody that's good, and we'll pick somebody. I just want a fair job. We want to see lower interest rates. Our country deserves it. We're making a lot of money. We're doing great as a country. We have no inflation, record stock market, record business, record everything. Everything's a record now. We had the worst inflation in history under Biden, and now we have almost no inflation. We've done a great job, and we should have the interest rates cut.
So you were saying the other day that Scott Bessent, you're so happy with him at Treasury that he's not your top option to replace Jerome Powell whenever that may be, whenever you decide what you want to do with him.
Scott's doing a very good job. I'm very happy with Scott.
Is Kevin Hassett on the top of your list?
Kevin's somebody would consider. Kevin is fantastic.
Very broad question.
We have a lot of good people for that job. It's not a tough job, to be honest. Assuming you're smart, it's not a tough job. If you're a dummy, then I guess it's a tough job. But it might be one of the easiest jobs I've ever seen. And now on top of it, he's building a close to $3 billion little nest egg for himself. He's not doing the right job. We should be saving $1 trillion a year in interest. When he talks about cost, we should be saving. Think of it, $1 trillion a year. Add that with the tariffs and everything else. But he just doesn't want. He's a knucklehead. But we'll see how that. We'll see how he's listening to this. That's a strange conversation. But we like to say it like it is. But we have a lot of people that want that job very badly, and I'm only interested in low interest people, frankly, because you don't need. I know. So they had the 71 different economists and people experts that they picked about a month ago. I was the only one, along with one person from maybe the Wharton School of Finance. The two of us got it right. 69
Jimmy,
people,
that's
including
crazy.
Powell, got it wrong. And he wants to hire thousands of new people to help him decide where we're going in the future. It only takes one good mind. It doesn't take 5,000 good minds. So they're expanding the Fed. It's the dumbest thing I've
I'm gonna have to fight
heard
this-
of. But
this
it's
cameraman at the
very
White House every
autonomous.
stream, bro.
Just to follow up on that, sir, are you completely ruling out the idea of firing Jerome Powell?
Ooh, that's a good
I
question.
don't rule out anything, but
I
I
don't
think
rule
it's
out anything.
highly unlikely, unless he has to leave for fraud. I mean, it's possible there's fraud involved with the $2.7 billion renovation. This is a renovation.
This
How do you
is
spend
with the Prince of
$2.7 billion?
Bahrain today.
And he didn't have proper clearance, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going on. So, there could be something to that, but I think he's not doing a good job. He's got a very easy job to do. You know what he has to do? Lower interest rates.
Have you drafted a letter to send to Powell if you decide that you
One
are
at a
going to
time,
fire him? Have you
please.
drafted a
I
letter?
haven't drafted a letter.
So you didn't show a letter to Republican lawmakers last night?
No, I talked about the concept of fire him. I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should. But I'm more conservative than they are. We talked about it. In fact, we had 11 of the 12 people here yesterday, for a very big bill having to do with crypto, et cetera, and other things. And we all of the votes are going with us, every single vote. But during the conversation, when we were talking about it, I asked, what would you do about that? They all said would fire him.
Mr. President. Thank you for taking my question, sir. You were in Pennsylvania yesterday.
Thank you, sir.
when
Thank
they
you.
held $92 billion worth of investments. One of those jumped out, though, $15 billion in Homer City to build the largest natural gas power plant ever. I was at the rally where you told Homer City residents that you would not forget them when the biggest coal plant in Pennsylvania closed down. You delivered for them yesterday. What message do you have to those residents?
Well, I'm happy. Homer City, I was there and I said, I'm going to produce something, I don't know what, because they had shut down this massive coal plant, one of the biggest in the country. And it was just purchased by the gentleman that you met yesterday, very substantial man. I don't know if he's maybe not as substantial as you, I'm not sure. But he's pretty substantial.
Big
You know who I'm
lays.
talking about. And they're going to spend billions of dollars.
Welcome in, everyone new.
on
Make sure you like the
rebuilding it.
stream.
And
Let's
it's
get some
gonna
more
be
people in
the
here.
largest plant of its kind in the world, I believe, actually in the world. And it's going to be great. So we really fulfilled that promise to Homer City. But it's to Pennsylvania, basically.
The Orange Man is
I
talking
won
about a lot
Pennsylvania.
today.
And very
This is gonna be
conclusively
focused on
won
Epstein
Pennsylvania. So
here in a
I owe
minute.
them a big debt of gratitude. But thank you
No
for bringing
spoilers
that
if
up.
you guys have already seen it.
We raised 92. It's actually going over 100. So it'll be over $100 billion to be invested in Pennsylvania. It's Pennsylvania Energy Project. So we had, everybody was there. Larry Fink was there. I mean, everybody was there and done a great job. The senator did a great job. And we were very proud. That was a great meeting yesterday. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, actually for each of you, so for the Crown Prince, are you planning
Cameraman
on
fucked up.
taking any of the Patriot missiles that you're going to receive from the United States and divert those to
What the hell was that?
Ukraine?
We have no current plans as we have an operational requirement inside Bahrain to keep them there
Okay.
for the present time. at least.
He's got
the
plenty
fuck?
of them, too.
And Mr. President, on the
That better not have been a spider.
They're wonderful. They're wonderful pieces of kit.
They work very well.
American technology is the best.
Yep.
and on the fentanyl bill that you're
That's
signing.
maybe the most important part of this. Here's
Hell
his
no,
choice of
really?
everything. And
Chat,
we
something
make
just
the
fell
best
on my
military
computer from the
equipment by
sky.
far in the
Bar
world.
none.
There's nothing close, right?
Bar none.
Yeah. Thank you.
And on the fentanyl bill that you're signing today, do you hope that that's going to restart
Why don't I
law
see anything
enforcement
anywhere?
cooperation with China on getting the fentanyl?
Yeah,
out?
I think China's been helping out. I mean, it's been a terrible situation for many years with fentanyl. But since I came
fuck
here, we're
was
talking
that?
to them, and they're making big steps. They're also, as you know, being penalized. You know that, right? They're being penalized with tariffs because of the fentanyl. But they want to do something. We'll see what happens.
I don't see it anywhere, guys. I hope that shit wasn't a spider.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I don't know where the fuck that went. I definitely saw something fall, I think.
Beaten to death, he was killed by Israeli settlers in the West
That's
Bank.
terrifying.
His family has been calling on you to help prosecute his
The fuck could that have
killers.
been?
Are you gonna do that? An American from Tampa?
Yeah, your first sentence is really, go ahead.
An American citizen from
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida, has been killed in the West Bank. His family has been asking on you to prosecute him. Are you gonna help finding his
Yeah,
killers?
well, so first of all, have you seen yesterday, Ambassador Huckabee has asked the Israelis to conduct an investigation.
low-key
We wanna get all the
terrified, guys.
information about who was involved. We protect all American citizens anywhere in the world, especially if they're unjustly murdered or killed.
One of them illegal
We're
spiders,
gathering
dude.
more information, but I hope you saw yesterday.
hope that was not a
Ambassador
spider,
Huckabee
dude.
in
I'm
Israel
fucking-
asked the Israeli authorities to produce an investigation and concrete
on
information
wide
on who was
alert.
responsible
Whoops.
for his murder.
They're reporting that tomorrow. We have a meeting on it. They're going to be reporting that to
Can
me.
I ask a clarifying
Yeah.
question, please? Do you think that the Gulf area now is more secure? And do you believe that a negotiation with Iran is necessary at this stage?
Well, I definitely believe that the
Chat, quit talking about
volatility
spiders,
in the
bro.
situation has been reduced, and
Y'all are gonna have me tweaking out.
we didn't know where it was going
because
to go
there's
on
no
the
spider
Sunday.
in here.
We were very glad when we found out on the Monday. Let me put it that way.
I hate that it didn't.
Where we stand today.
don't know what
They are
coulda
the ones that
happened.
stand to benefit from a negotiation.
And they do.
If I
They
freak
wanna
out, chat,
negotiate.
then don't say anything.
They want to negotiate badly.
Welcome
We're
in,
in no
everyone new.
rush.
Make sure you like the stream so
Because,
the spider doesn't
yeah,
get me.
We said we could have made a deal. They should have made a deal. And then we bombed the hell out of their various places. We're in no rush, but if they want to negotiate, we're here. Yeah.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your Attorney
big
General
hoax.
told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you
No,
seen
it's
of
not the
that?
Attorney General, no. I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. No, it's I call it the Epstein hoax. Takes a lot of time
Here we
and
go.
effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman. Yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died.
Oh my God, I found it, chat. It
3-4
was a
years
spider.
ago.
I found it.
I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, there's lots of reports coming into this meeting that you planned on firing Fed Chair Jay Powell. Markets
Is
reacted.
that right? Those are reports, but they're not true.
So what would be useful to know, are you committed to picking someone from the outside? Are you going to interview individuals that are
so
on the
many
Hey,
people
I got that
that job.
motherfucker too.
I have people that I've known a long time.
Now we're
they're
safe.
calling me, begging for the job. You know what?
Now we
you
can
need
rest
a
easy.
smart person with common sense, but you need a very smart person for that job. I think it's one of the easiest jobs in government. You show up once a month and you make a statement about where the economy's going, and we're going to raise or lower interest rates. It's probably the easiest job I've ever seen. That's why I'm trying to figure, why does he want to expand and add more people? He's going to add more economists to tell him what to do. But the economists, I was right. All the economists were wrong. They admitted it. They admitted it this morning. Quiet. Go ahead.
Mr. President, on Jerome Powell, you mentioned fraud in an earlier answer. Are you saying you want to investigate the Fed chair for fraud related to this renovation?
Well, I think he's already under investigation. He spent far more money than he was supposed to on rebuilding. I didn't see him as being the kind of guy that would want to have parks, rooftop parks and everything else on top of buildings. But who wants to spend that money for the Fed? The Fed is supposed to sit there and say where interest rates are going and a couple of other very easy things to do. And he spent $2.5 billion. I think he's got some problems.
Thank you, sir. You also reported a monthly surplus in the month of June, $27 billion.
$25 billion.
A ton of money. With these new tariff rates coming into effect on August 1st, we're going to be bringing in even more tariff revenue specifically. How much revenue do you think we can consistently bring in from these tariffs, and how big of a game changer is this, not only for the economy, but also fiscal
Well,
responsibility?
we're going to be bringing in, already we've brought in over $100 billion. We'll be bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars. And the tariffs really haven't kicked in that much other than automobiles and steel. August 1st is a big day. August 1st is when very substantial money comes into our country. We've made deals with a lot of great places, but we had one yesterday, that was announced. We have another one coming up, maybe with India. I don't know. We're in negotiation. When I send out a letter, that's a deal. In other words, that's a deal. They don't want to ever say that. Oh, how many deals have you made? The best deal we can make is to send out a letter. And the letter says that you'll pay 30%, 35%, 25%, 20%, in one case 50%, Brazil, and because what they're doing to their former president is disgraceful. I know the former president. He fought like hell for the people of Brazil, that I can tell you. And I believe he's an honest man. I think what they're doing to him is terrible. So, yeah, we have some pretty good deals to announce, but every time we send out a letter, that's the deal. The big one really is going to be on the 150 countries that we're really not negotiating with, and they're smaller. We don't do much business with them. Because you have a lot of countries, you have over 200 countries, and a lot of people don't know this, but we'll have well over 150 countries that we're just going to send a notice of payment out, and the notice of payment is going to say what the tariff, and it's all going to be the same for everyone, for that group. They don't, they're not big countries, and they don't do that much business. It's not like the ones that we've agreed with, like China.
Yeah, we can't hit them like we can't hit the small countries with massive tariffs.
I think probably we'll
Tariffs.
live by the letter with Japan. We're very close
Japan's
to a deal
cool.
with India where they open it up. Indonesia yesterday was, it wasn't an open country, now it is. And they have
Chat
tremendous
seems to
copper.
be 50-50 on the
Quality
Epstein
copper
list.
and probably the most copper. And we made a deal with Indonesia. We pay no tariff, 0, and we have total access to trade. That's a phenomenal deal for our companies. And we've agreed with them, as you know, on 19%. They pay 19%. And it's a good deal for them, it's a good deal for us, so in that case. But we have a number of them coming up. But overall, we're doing well, and we're taking in a lot of money, a lot of money. We have the number one, we have the most oil of any country in the world, even more than them, which is hard to believe. But we have a little larger piece of land, right?
We do, sir.
But,
You always make sure we get our
we're
props.
number one in the world in oil.
Guys,
And
are
we're
you
drilling,
excited
and
about the
today
Trump
it's
stream that we're going to do where I dress as
$64
Trump?
a barrel, which
Make
is
sure you
great.
subscribe so you catch that. It's going to be
And
wild.
that'll
By the way,
help
text to
stop
speak
wars,
and super
actually.
chats play
One other
special
too. It's
sounds
gonna help
and
stop wars.
read your
We hope
message
to
out
get it
loud.
down a
Ow,
little bit
cat.
more. But we have oil
Help us
down
meet our
to
goal.
$2, $2.25, $2.50 in numerous states. We hit one at $1.98 a gallon. And that's a great thing. That's one of the reasons that inflation's in check. When you can do that, you stop
Chat,
inflation.
how
What
much is
Biden did
eggs
is
where
he
you
ended
guys are?
Our policies
I do
went
this
to
every
his
stream. Let me
policies.
know where
He
you're
didn't
at
have
and
a
what the price
policy.
of eggs are.
Some lunatic around the desk had a policy. Whoever operated the auto pen had a policy, which is, by the way, I think the biggest scandal. That's the scandal they should be talking about, not Jeffrey Epstein. The scandal you should be talking about is the auto pen, because I think it's the biggest scandal, one of them in American history. So the economy is doing really well, and
Everything he
people
does
say,
is a
yeah.
ramble, Ferk. You just have to try to interpret through it.
Will you ask Attorney
Come on.
General Pam Bondi to release more documents to finally put this controversy to bed?
whatever's credible, she can release. If a document is credible, if a document's there that is credible, she can release. I think it's good. But it's just really, it's just a subject. He's dead. He's gone, and all it is the Republicans. Certain Republicans got duped by the
$4? That still
Democrats,
feels
and
pretty
they're
high.
following a Democrat playbook, and no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes. They're started by the Democrats, and some Republicans. In this case, I was surprised, but they got duped.
But have you talked about it? Have you talked about it with her the last few days?
President, first of all, remember
$6 for 12 eggs? Wherever you are, you need to move. That's crazy.
Made some inconsistent statements in the past. You've had.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak about him, but I can say that Pam Bondi, I really think that she's done very good. She says, I gave you all the credible information. And if she finds any more credible information, she'll give that too. What more can she do than that? I mean, honestly, what more can she do? And we do have bigger problems. You know, we have problems with millions of illegal people that came in here, and they're killers and murderers. We have 11,000
$12 in Cali? That cannot exist.
murderers that were allowed into our country by Biden, sleepy Joe Biden, stupid Joe Biden. He allowed him into our country. And you know what? We got to do something about it. She's got a lot of things she's working on. And, you know, it's very sad that somebody can be waylaid, that just get waylaid. But I think she's doing a great job, President.
In your Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now
I
calling?
lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah, I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good for nothing. They've done a terrible job. They almost destroyed our country. If I didn't get elected, all these numbers you're hearing about, they found $25 billion and another 25 is coming in and hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country. And we just got the biggest tax cut in history. We just got the biggest regulation cuts in history. There'll be no tax on tips. There'll be no tax on Social Security. There'll be no tax on overtime.
Trump just takes every
There'll be no
interview
tax
and then
on
like
so many other things.
overtalks
You're allowed to
whatever it's
deduct your
about, like
interest
just talks
from
about
a car
American
payment.
like
That's
issues.
never happened before. You borrow interest. You borrow money to buy a car if the car is made in America. And by the way, factories are being built all over America. Car factories, AI factories. But you get a deduction on your interest. Nobody ever thought of that before. It never happened before. And, you know, these are the things that they should be talking about. The big, beautiful bill is one of the greatest pieces of legislation ever in this country. And the Democrats have nothing to combat it. So they say, oh, it's death.
Yo, share.
Death.
I don't know if you
that's
noticed,
good.
but someone
And then
gifted
they
some
give it
members
fake
to the
news,
chat,
which is here
and
with
you
a
got
few
it.
others. And the fake news talks
now have
about
free
the bill is
membership.
death.
Let's
the bill
go,
is actually
baby.
life. The bill is life, and it saves our country. This bill is incredible. Look at the results already. So we have $16 trillion being invested in our country. And this great gentleman and his family just came in with another billions of dollars. And if he didn't like the country, if he didn't like where we were going, he's very smart. He'd come, maybe he wouldn't even come. I think maybe he wouldn't even come. You'd save your time. But, you know, it's one of those things. But if he didn't like where this country was, he wouldn't be investing billions of dollars in this country.
Yeah,
Think of
if,
it, $16
you know, I'm
trillion
not saying
more than has ever been even
Epstein's smart, but
contemplated
keeping a list of your
before.
clients
And we haven't even started yet.
might just catch you up.
So
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
I want to talk about. I want to talk about the success. And the Democrats have nothing to show for what they do. They almost destroyed. They allowed 25 million people to come into our country, gang members, jailbirds, from all over the world, not South America, from all over the world. They allowed them to come into
You guys
our
let me know
country
when the angle's off.
from
Sometimes
mental
I don't see it.
institutions, insane asylums, just walk right through. They couldn't come into your country. They couldn't come into any country in the world except our country. And they came in from the worst places, gang members, drug dealers. They all came in. Turn it off, please.
Turn it
They
off,
all
please.
came in. And I'm doing something about it. We have it under check right now. We got rid of a lot of the murderers already. Some of them we put in our prisons because they're so bad we don't want to take a chance in putting them in a foreign prison, have them come back. But we've done a great job. Our country's in great shape. We literally have the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it's true what the king said, what a lot of people said. We were a dead country. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. We were laughed at all over the world. We had Afghanistan with that horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Look what happened with Russia and Ukraine. That should have never happened. Look what happened with Israel. That would have never happened. Hamas had no money. Iran had no money. There was no money to do an attack like that. All these things that happened that wouldn't have happened if you had good leadership. And that's what you should be talking about. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, that's going to be the end of that one. So what we're going to hit next is from the White House. Good stuff from the White House. This is a press briefing right after
And the
Epstein
President
news.
and the First Lady will travel to the United Kingdom for an official state visit from September 17th to
how do we wanna
September
do this, chat?
19th
Keep it right
later
here?
this fall.
Keep it right here?
This will mark a truly unprecedented second state visit for President Trump, and he is honored and looking forward to meeting with His Majesty the King at Windsor Castle. There has been a wave of positive economic news over the past week, which I would like to highlight today. Joe Biden's inflation crisis has been defeated. Prices paid to American businesses for goods and services were flat in June, which is lower than all 50 forecasters in the Bloomberg survey predicted. And core inflation, which is the best measure of inflation, came in lower than expected again in the month of June. Since President Trump took office, core inflation has tracked at just 2.1% overall and has come in below or at economists' expectations every single month. Wages are growing at a strong pace and prices are falling for everyday Americans. We also saw prices for new and used vehicles and airfares drop last month. In addition, prices for gas, fuel oil, energy commodities, hotels, airfare, public transportation, and fresh vegetables are all down over last year. As we said all along, trust in President Trump. The American dream is back, and everyday families are already reaping the benefits of this incredible economic turnaround in just 6 months. President Trump has ended the era of economic surrender and implemented powerful tariffs to stand up for our workers and businesses and rebalance America's trading agreements. Despite all of the doom casting from the so-called experts claiming that these tariffs would be the end of the world as we know it, the opposite has occurred. Tariffs are not inflationary, as President Trump has said all along. In reality, tariffs are a source of massive revenue. We're seeing trillions of dollars pour into our country right now because the companies around this world want to make their products right here with American labor and not have to pay any tariffs at all. Customs and tariff revenue has already totaled more than $113 billion since President Trump entered office, helping to lead a budget surplus in June for the first time in nearly a decade. We are truly entering a golden age as a result of these pro-growth and America First trade policies. On another matter, yesterday in the East Room, the president was proud to sign the Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act into law, surrounded by angel families to help finally end the devastating fentanyl crisis that has ravaged millions of Americans. Under the Halt Fentanyl Act, anyone who possesses, imports, distributes, or manufactures any illicit fentanyl-related substances will be subject to criminal prosecution in the same manner as any other Schedule I controlled substance.
They do that anyway.
This legislation will close the loopholes that criminals use to skirt around the law and make it easier for law enforcement to prosecute vicious traffickers who peddle poison in our communities. President Trump has always made tackling the drug crisis a top priority, and this important bipartisan legislation further follows through on that commitment. The complete and total success at our southern border that many in the media in this room continue to ignore is another example of the president keeping his word to families who have lost loved ones due to fentanyl, and it's another win for the American people. Protection just released the final operationalized stats for the month of June, and I must highlight some of these incredible numbers. There were only 6,072 Southwest apprehensions in June, 15% lower than the previous record that this president set in the month of March. To put that in perspective, the Biden administration routinely saw the same number of encounters in a single day, and on many days, that number was more than 10,000 apprehensions at the Southwest border. There were also 0 illegal aliens released along the Southwest border for the second consecutive month in a row. President Trump promised to end the illegal alien invasion, and he has delivered on that promise to the American people in record time. With the border sealed, deportations are ramping up. This past weekend, our brave ICE agents were arresting violent criminal illegal aliens all across the country. ICE Atlanta arrested an illegal alien from Mexico, convicted of attempted rape of a child in North Carolina. ICE Baltimore arrested an illegal alien from Guatemala who was previously convicted for sexual abuse of a minor in Maryland. ICE Houston arrested a criminal illegal alien from Mexico whose previous conviction includes
they've
aggravated
also
sexual
arrested a
assault
lot of people that
child
didn't have
in Texas.
criminal records. So
ICE Salt Lake City arrested a 32-year-old illegal criminal alien from Mexico who was previously convicted for child abuse and injury. ICE Baltimore arrested a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador convicted in Maryland for possession of child pornography. And ICE San Antonio arrested a criminal illegal alien from Mexico convicted of aggravated sexual assault in Texas. The men and women of ICE are heroes. They are putting their lives on the line every day to get the worst of the worst, these types of criminals, out of our communities and out of our country. And the president continues to strongly have the backs of all ICE agents who are doing their jobs to keep all of us, including everyone in this room, safe. The facility sorry, 1 second. In other news, following President Trump's bold executive actions protecting American children from irreversible chemical and surgical mutilation, the largest provider of these barbaric practices will now be closing its doors. The facility in Los Angeles, California, is just the latest facility downsizing or eliminating their irreversible and harmful services that feed into the lie that you can somehow change a child's sex. The Biden administration peddled dangerous policies that defied medical science in favor of radical transgender ideology. But President Trump has put an end to that to ensure America's children's innocence is protected and our children can lead healthy and productive lives. Finally, last night, Senate Republicans passed President Trump's $9 billion rescissions package. This will help restore fiscal sanity in our country by rescinding billions in wasteful foreign aid and finally ending taxpayer funding for PBS and NPR, two media organizations that have ridiculously used federal dollars to push a partisan left-wing agenda for many years. The House should pass this rescissions package immediately and send it to the president's desk for signature. On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's position to all of you, as we always do. And we'll get to questions. Here in our new media seat, we have Frank Corva, who's the White House correspondent for Bitcoin Magazine, which comes at a timely week with crypto legislation moving across Capitol Hill. So why don't you kick us off, Frank, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Ms. Levin.
Sure.
I was curious to hear if the president was in favor of removing any and all language around central bank digital currencies from the Genius Act, maybe as a means to get it across the line and get it on his desk. And then my second question was about something the president spoke about in this room. He talked about a $600 de minimis tax exemption for Bitcoin and other crypto spending. So I was just wondering if you could comment on those.
Sure. Well, the president did signal his support for de minimis exemption for crypto.
What is
and
happening?
The administration
What was that, chat? Why did it start doubling?
In support of that, we are definitely receptive to it to make crypto, but with the de minimis exemption, perhaps it could in the future, and we will continue to explore legislative solutions to accomplish that.
This?
As for the central bank digital currency and the Genius Act, which you noted
chat,
has
you
passed through Congress
and
will be sent to the president's desk.
Type
I believe
1 or
the
2
House
in
is
chat.
voting on it. If they haven't, they should be passing it. We know we have the votes, and we expect it to get to the president's desk, and we are planning a signing ceremony tomorrow afternoon. All of you will get more details on that. This piece of legislation is going to make America the crypto capital of the world, and that's what the president promised. As for a central bank digital currency, the president opposes that. He made that promise to the American people on the campaign, and while it's not in this specific piece of legislation, he did sign a January executive order banning a central bank digital currency. The administration supports Congress's efforts to codify that executive order into law, and I believe there will be future pieces of legislation in regards to crypto that will be moving through Capitol Hill. The president looks forward to signing them, and he looks forward to the signing ceremony this afternoon. So thank you for being with us today. Sure. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax.
Two, chat.
Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring
Hey, something's not like matching
to
up
the
with
fact that Democrats have
something's
now
going on
seized
here.
on this, as if they ever wanted transparency
Chat likes one,
when
too?
it comes to
You like
Jeffrey
both of them?
Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing
The other one's
when it
lips weren't
came
syncing
to
up
transparency
with their talk.
in
It's kinda
regards to
weird.
Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they
I'm
found
seeing
in
mixed
that memo
reviews.
they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about. The president has been working so hard this week. On Tuesday, he went to Pennsylvania, where he secured $90 billion in investments for the Commonwealth, for the people of that state. After that, he came back to the Oval Office at 8 p.m. He went in there to whip votes to get the Genius Act signed into law. And because of his efforts, that bill is now going to be signed and passed. The following day, yesterday, he meets with a foreign leader, the King of Bahrain, to secure more investments into this country. And then yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people than helping families who have lost their children? Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
I understand he wants to move on from the story, but you do have some prominent figures, including the Senate Majority Leader, the House
Chat,
Speaker.
something's wrong with her audio. It's
voicing
not lining up
support
with
for the files
her
to
camera,
come
isn't
out.
it?
Representative Massey
Something's wrong
collecting
here.
signatures that would force a discharge
Just with her.
petition for a vote on the floor for this. It doesn't seem to be going away. What is stopping the administration from just redacting any sensitive information, grand jury information, and putting out what is appropriate so that the American people can decide and then let this story die?
Well, in terms of redaction seals, those are questions for the Department of Justice. Those are also questions for the judges who have that information under a seal. And that would have to be requested, and a judge would have to approve it. That's out of the president's control. He has said, in agreement with some of the leaders on Capitol Hill, that if Attorney General and the Department of Justice come across any other credible evidence, they should provide that to the American people. The president has said that, and he agrees with them on that.
Hire Maureen Comey.
The Department of Justice did, and I would defer you to them. Dasha.
Has the White House been directly in touch with some of the MAGA influencers that are still not satisfied with the administration's handling? And has the message to them been similar to what the president has said, which is sort of either let this go or we don't need your support?
Well, look, the president and this team are always in contact with the president's supporters, with voices of many kinds on both sides of the aisle. I think that's part of the reason this president is a great president, because he's willing to listen and hear other people's perspectives. But ultimately, he has led this country, not just over the past 6 months to historic success, but also through his first 4 years as president. And as the leader and the creator of the MAGA movement, he has led through these perilous times for our country based on instinct and in the best interest of the country. And as I always say, the American people should trust in President Trump. John, go ahead, John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. The president on Monday announced that if there's not compliance with Russia within 50 days, there would be increased tariffs. Can you explain how that works? First of all, what happens if Russia doesn't end its war with Ukraine in 50 days?
Well, in 50 days, as the president clearly laid out, a ceasefire agreement or a peace deal within that time frame, if Russia refuses to legitimately agree to a ceasefire, then they will face very steep tariffs, and they will also face secondary sanctions. So countries that are purchasing oil from Russia will be sanctioned as well, and of course that will do deep damage to Russia's economy. And I would just add that the president wants this wants this war to end with a diplomatic solution. He's been pushing for it. This administration has spent many hours and a lot of time trying to solve this war very far away, but the president wants to stop the killing and he wants to save lives.
As far
Reagan,
as the first part
go
of
ahead.
what you were saying, Caroline. the
Reagan,
first
go
part,
ahead.
It's just about, if I may, just about the tariffs, the first part. I get the secondary tariffs, but there was only $3 billion worth of trade between the U.S. and Russia in 2024. It's expected to be far less this particular year. On April the 2nd, both you and the Treasury Secretary said it's not necessary to apply any tariffs on Russia. You said that because of the lack of trade, it precludes, that was the word you used, any need for tariffs. Why now, and why do you think that that would make them cave and come to some sort of peace agreement as it relates to Ukraine?
$3 billion is still a lot of money, John, and it's not just tariffs, it's the secondary sanctions as well that will be implemented in 50 days. Reagan.
Caroline, I have two questions for you.
Sure.
First on Congress. Congresswoman Salazar introduced legislation that would give some illegal immigrants in the country a path to citizenship. 10 Republicans signed on Dignity Act. I'm curious what the White House's position is on the legislation and if the president would veto this bill if it made it
Yo,
to its
welcome in
desk.
everyone new.
From my understanding, the White House nor the president has actually read through this legislation.
Super
We've
chats
been
do have
focused
TTS,
on,
and we're
of
putting
course,
all
the One Big
donators on the
Beautiful Bill,
shirt, so
which
light it
passed,
up,
which is
guys.
another
Let's try to hit
historic
that 20
accomplishment
goal.
of this president in record time. The Genius Act this week, the rescissions package, that's been the focus of the White House, but the president has made it very clear he will not support amnesty for illegal aliens in any way.
I want to give you a chance to respond to the CEO of NPR. She's claiming that the cuts to their network will, quote, be a real risk to public safety of the country. Murkowski has argued that public broadcasting stations save lives. Could you respond to these concerns?
The NPR CEO said cutting NPR will be a risk to public safety. I am not sure how NPR helps the public safety of our country, but I do know that NPR, unfortunately, has become really just a propaganda voice for the left. Just a few examples for you. In 2020, NPR refused to cover the Hunter Biden laptop scandal in the run-up to the election. They said their assertions don't amount to much, writing they did not want to waste the listeners' and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. That does not sound like an unbiased opinion. That sounds like a partisan opinion to me. And this is a taxpayer-funded organization. In 2018, that same CEO that you're talking about called the president in the Oval Office, who nearly 80 million Americans elected, she called him racist, shared a photo of herself wearing a Biden for President campaign hat, serves on the board of a Soros-funded activist group. PBS's White House correspondent at the time characterized President Trump's speech then at Mount Rushmore as a love letter to white resentment, promoting the myth of America. In 2017, PBS devoted an entire panel talking about what it means to be woke and white privilege. In 2023, PBS's Washington Week Roundtable covered up Joe Biden's clear mental divide. That's actually quite the clip. I would encourage all of you to look at it. These are not honest news organizations. These are partisan, left-wing outlets that are funded by the taxpayers. And this administration does not believe it's a good use of the taxpayers' time and money. Ed Lawrence.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. I want to ask you about the Federal Reserve. So does the president believe
Diddy, you show up
that
every
the slightly
single stream,
restrictive
bro.
monetary policy stance right now, could that cause an economic slowdown? And if he does believe that, when?
What pause are you referring to?
No, could the stance of the monetary policy is slightly restrictive? Does the president believe that that stance, the slightly restrictive stance, could cause an economic slowdown in itself?
I haven't heard the president discuss that specifically, but what I do know in regards to the Federal Reserve is the president's been very transparent about his displeasure with both the policies and the management of the Fed, and he spoke about that to all of you pretty extensively in the Oval Office yesterday.
And last month, one more if I could. Last month, the Canadian Prime Minister said the president had agreed to a July 21st deadline to sort of work towards a trade agreement. That's 4 days from now. Could there be a trade agreement with Canada in 4 days?
Well, look, we'll see. The trade team continues to be very active in our conversations and discussions with Canada. The president himself has said, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north have been pretty difficult to deal with when it comes to matters on trade. But in trade, generally speaking, as you know, 25 countries have received letters thus far from the president directly with his big, beautiful signature on them, from Japan to Korea, South Africa, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, just a few countries, and Canada also received a letter for 35%. With that said, if countries want to have legitimate further discussions, the Trump administration and the president's trade team are willing to have further talks, but these letters these countries have been receiving are the deals. And as the president has said, those deals will be made. They are tailor-made to each and every country based on the United States' concerns and what's in the best interest of the American worker and the American people. Charlie, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
No, I called on Charlie, but Deanna, you can go ahead too. Go ahead.
The president said that he floated the idea of a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. Can you confirm that? And has he asked the Attorney General to do this, to appoint a special prosecutor to look it over?
Well, the idea was floated from someone in the media to the president. The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels. And as for his discussions with the Attorney General, I'm not sure. Deanna.
Thank you so much. Do you know what the president's reaction was to Mike Johnson saying that he wants additional files released, the Epstein files? Was there a conversation with Mike Johnson about that following his comments?
I won't discuss the president's private conversations with the Speaker of the House, but as I answered to Jackie's question earlier, the president has said if the Department of Justice and the FBI have any more credible evidence in regards to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, they should put that forward. He has called on them to do that. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline.
With a few days.
I'll go to all of you, starting with the lady in the blue. Go ahead.
With a few days to the August 9th deadline, how are the negotiations with Europe going? There's some sticking points. What are they? Can we expect a delay, or should we expect a deal soon?
Well, I believe the deadline is August 1st. As for the European Union, they continue to be very eager in negotiating with our country for obvious reasons on ways to lower their tariff and their non-tariff barriers that we have long said harm our workers and our companies. So the president's trade team continue to be in talks with the European Union.
Would he accept, or would he put forth a postponement of the August 1st?
He's already said he will not.
Caroline,
Owen, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Caroline. In Gaza today, Holy Family Catholic Church was struck by an Israeli shell.
Yes.
3 people were killed, 10 wounded. What is the president's reaction to that church coming under fire?
It was not a positive reaction. He called Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning to address the strikes on that church in Gaza, and I understand the Prime Minister agreed to put out a statement. It was a mistake by the Israelis to hit that Catholic church. That's what the Prime Minister relayed to the President, and you should look at the Prime Minister's statement that will be coming out.
She's good at dodging, that's for sure.
What you read at the beginning.
Sure.
The president, you said mild swelling in his legs.
Hey guys, we only have about 8 minutes left on the stream. Let's try to hit that super
Nope.
chat goal.
No discomfort
Anyone who
from
super
the
chats gets their
president
name
at
on my
all,
shirt
and you
permanently.
probably all see that on a
Yes,
day-to-day
sir.
basis. He's working around the clock. As for the treatments, I can defer to the president's physician, and we'll get you this letter. I think it will answer all your questions.
Reports that a Chinese-born banker who works in Atlanta for Wells Fargo is being prevented from leaving China. Has the president, is he going to bring this up with President Xi? Are you aware of the case?
I'm not aware of the case, but I'm sure our National Security Council team is. Steve, we'll get you some answers on that.
Thank you.
Kristen.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. So the first is that President Trump said that the Attorney General only gave him a brief overview of what was in these Epstein files. Does he have knowledge or an understanding of what is in the files related to Epstein that have not been released?
Not to my knowledge, and that's a question for the Attorney General, as I said, and the President has told the Attorney General if they have any more credible evidence, they should release it.
Is that evidence, would she have to run that by the President before she released it?
I don't think so. He said if she has any more credible evidence, she should release it.
You're on.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yes.
Great. Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. One, today.
And you can go ahead, Andrew. Don't worry.
Today, tens of thousands of folks are rallying nationwide to honor the legacy of Congressman John Lewis. Meanwhile, Republicans in Texas reportedly are working to redraw congressional maps at President Trump's urging. How is President Trump reconciling his call to action for Texas Republicans with the legacy of Representative John Lewis?
Chad, I thought
I'm
we
not
liked
quite sure
her.
how the two things are
We don't like
related.
her
I
anymore?
think the president would agree that John Lewis served our country for many, many years. It has nothing to do with the redistricting efforts that are currently underway by Texas Republicans to add seats to their legislature. They have the right to do that. The president spoke to the congressmen and women who serve the great state of Texas about it, but it's up to them and it's up to their legislature to get that approved.
And Caroline,
Go ahead.
just the second question. And
Go
does
ahead.
the president support the Justice Department's request for just 1 day in jail for the officer convicted in Breonna Taylor's killing? And what message does he believe that sends to her family and to other families seeking justice in cases of police violence?
I haven't talked to the president about that case. Go ahead.
Just the president, when the president met the interim president of Syria a couple of months ago, he described him as a young, tough, attractive guy. After the latest clashes in Syria over the last few days, does President Trump still support Syria's interim president?
The president still supports Syria's pathway to a peaceful and prosperous country, and you received an update directly from the Secretary of State on the ongoing situation between Syria and Israel. I spoke to him myself this morning to get an update, and as soon as the United States became involved in this conflict, we were able to de-escalate, deconflict. That seems to be continuing. Syria agreed to draw back their troops that were in the area where that clash was ongoing, and we continue to be very actively monitoring the situation. The president wants to see Syria become a prosperous and stable country, and by the lifting of the sanctions on Syria, he's giving them a real chance to do that, and he wants to see that through. Andrew, go ahead.
So on Tuesday, a very detailed story about his uncle, noted scientist John Trump, and Theodore Kaczynski, the late Unabomber. He said that Dr. Trump taught Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was not identified as the Unabomber until 1996, 11 years after John Trump passed away. It would have been impossible for John Trump to have ever discussed the Unabomber with the president. So what was he talking about? And I have one follow-up.
Andrew, with so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question, although I'm not sometimes coming from you, I will say, but I'm willing to give you an answer. Nevertheless, the president's uncle did, in fact, teach at MIT. He was a very intelligent professor. The president's very proud of his family. In fact, the president has a letter from his uncle on the MIT letterhead that sits in the Oval Office dining room. Maybe we'll let you see it sometime.
And then
Elizabeth.
Caroline, one more.
Elizabeth,
will the
go
president consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell
Elizabeth,
if the Epstein case is a hoax?
Okay, I'll start off with the president said last week he would not be getting involved in the New York City mayoral case. If that mayoral race, if that's still the case, given his history drawing a large crowd in New York City, what's his reason for staying out of it in that way?
Well, look, I think the president reserves the right to get involved in races or not get involved in races, and he's made the decision not to weigh in on the New York mayoral race, as you rightly pointed out, although he has gone as far to say he absolutely does not want to see Zemdami elected, who is a known communist who supports the abolishment of property, the defunding of police. He has made very well-known anti-Semitic statements. It would be a disaster for New York and for this country, and I think it's quite telling that this individual, a known communist, has been spending time in Washington this week meeting with truly where the Democrat Party is headed. Clearly, they learned nothing from November 5th in the president's overwhelming victory. Mary, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. I want to backtrack to the hospitals that have stopped providing transgender surgeries and hormones for kids. On this front, does that have anything to do with the DOJ's subpoenas last week? Should we expect any more hospitals to be shutting down their programs? And I wanted to also ask what you make of all these media reports, especially the AP, which I noticed, which portrays these children as losing something that's saving their lives.
Yes, I think the president spoke a lot about this issue, which is a political issue, but also really a cultural issue that impacts children and families. He talked about it a lot on the campaign, and I think he was quite surprised by the uptick we were seeing in the embracement by the Democrat Party when it comes to the chemical castration and mutilation of young, innocent bodies. And so the president made it a very early priority to sign very strong executive orders to cut off the funding for any hospital or any medical facility in this country that provides such barbaric procedures. And as a result of that strong policy and the president's strong common sense position on this issue, we've had a response which is great for children in Arizona. Phoenix Children's Hospital has stopped providing puberty blockers and hormone therapy to minors. In California, Stanford Medicine ended sex change surgeries for minors. Children's Hospital Los Angeles is closing its Center for Trans Youth Health and Development surgical program. In Illinois, Lurie Children's Hospital Chicago stopped sex change surgeries. Again, let's think about what we're talking about here. Sex change surgeries for minors. These are barbaric practices that no child, innocent child, should have to endure. And the president wants to protect the innocence of children, and I know the vast majority of Americans support him in that effort. This is a wildly popular and common sense endeavor this administration has taken, and we've seen many of these medical institutions have followed through with the president's executive orders, but we'll continue to take further action on this important issue. Garrett.
All right, guys, that is going to end our update hour for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Nobody joined our shirt today, but remember, guys, any super chats join on the Shirt of Fame. I appreciate you guys for being along with me tonight. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your night. Yes, sir.